focus, man.
What's good, everybody? Once again, this is your man, Jay Focus, reminding you to stay focused. Okay. So right now, I'm going to give you some more tips and general travel knowledge about things that I've noticed here in Burundi. So first of all, if you're coming to Burundi from Rwanda, right next door, you're going to notice right away that the transportation works very differently here. So in Rwanda, typically, if you're trying to move around the city, the fastest way is going to be the motor taxis. They call them, what do they call them? They call them bodas in Uganda. In Rwanda, they have a different name for them. But basically, it's guys who have motorcycles, small little ones, like 150 cc's or something like that. And they are pretty much everywhere. Anytime you're in an urban area in these countries, you're going to see them on the street corners. They're going to see them passing by on main roads, just waiting for people to need their service. And what they do is it's a taxi service. You just hop on the back. They have a helmet ready for you if you're in Rwanda. And if you're in Uganda, no helmet most of the time. And this is the best way to get around the city because during rush hour, especially, they can weave in and out of traffic. And they can obviously park anywhere where cars can't. And it's going to be very affordable. So this is a common mode of transportation in a lot of East Africa. Now, when you come here to Burundi, they don't exist. So I went from being in Kigali and seeing a taxi motorcycle drive past me every 15 seconds, maybe even more frequently in other parts of the city, to coming here and you simply don't see motorcycles, not only for taxis, but period. There's almost no motorcycles here. And I have no idea why, but for whatever reason, that's the case. Now, what they do have in Burundi is typical taxis like you're used to seeing all over the world. But there is no type of an app like an Uber to just order them. And when you approach them, if you're a tourist especially, you're not going to know what the prices are. And if you don't speak the language, which is going to be French for these taxi drivers, or the local language, which is shared with Rwanda, which is Kenya, Rwanda. If you don't speak either of those languages, you're going to have a tough time negotiating. So one tip that I can give you is, odds are if you come to Burundi, you're going to be staying in a hotel because Airbnbs exist, but they're very thin on the ground here. So especially if you're just coming for a short stay and you're not going to stay for a month or so, I would highly recommend that you stay in a hotel. And the hotel concierge, they will speak English and they can tell you exactly what the prices are going to be. So where I'm staying in the Hotel Safari Gate. This is a very well-known hotel in the city. Any taxi will know where this is. And most normal citizens in the capital will have some idea where this hotel is. So as far as orienting yourself in the city, this is a very prime location. You've got the beach at your footsteps if you're staying in this hotel, and there's a few shops and restaurants that are just along the main street when you leave the hotel. So you aren't going to have to walk too far to get basic kinds of services that you might want. Now, if you're staying somewhere else, closer to the center of the city, and the hotel's there as well, I'm sure there's going to be someone at the front desk who's going to be able to tell you, okay, so if you want to go from here to the airport, it's going to be the equivalent of $10. It's going to be X amount of Burundi francs or what have you. So your best friend is going to be that guy who works in the concierge of your hotel. That way you're not going to get ripped off when you negotiate with the taxis. Now, of course, you want to know basic French. When I say that, don't be intimidated. It's the numbers. So honestly, I can walk up to a taxi on the street. I can say the neighborhood that I'm in, which is Kabondo. I can say Kabondo, one word, and then I can just say like combien, like how much. That's all the French you really need. And then he's gonna throw out a number. If you can know the numbers or you can look on your phone, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Took me a second with cat, right, with number 4. So if you can just memorize that much, that's all you're gonna need. So he might quote you a price, he might say 10, which is 10, and then you counter with wheat, which is 8, and so on and so forth. And that's how the negotiation will go. But 9 times out of 10 in my experience, they haven't tried to overcharge me. They've been very straightforward. So for example, I spoke with the guy at the front desk and I was asking how much it would cost to go to, what is that part of the city called? To where the main bus terminal is. And they told me it's gonna cost you about 8,000 or 10,000, right? Which isn't bad. And so more or less, that's gonna be $4 to $5. Think of it like that, about half of what it would be in US dollars minus the thousands. Okay, so that's a pretty decent price. And when I got out to the taxi, I said in my head, okay, I'm not gonna pay more than 10 or 8,000. And so when I got there, I told the guy, look, I'm going to the bus terminal. I said, you know, whatever the word is, the bus is the word in French, I believe. So I just said that, bus terminal. And he said, I believe 10, and I just counted with 8. And he's like, yeah, let's go. So there wasn't a lot of negotiation, as long as you have an idea of where you're going. Now, if you don't speak any French and you have no idea of the prices, you don't even know the numbers, then you're kind of at the mercy of the taxi driver. But even in that case too, you can go to the next one, because instead of motorcycle taxis being frequent, the typical taxis are pretty frequent around the city. Not as frequent, but you won't have too much trouble to find a taxi anywhere you're moving in the city. You won't walk more than 4 minutes before you come across one, maybe less. So with that being said, that's the main thing you need to know. Now, there is some kind of a bus system here, but if you're a short-term traveler, you're not going to take advantage of it. It's not going to be worth trying to figure it out, especially without the language skills. So that's the main gist of transportation when you're in the city of Buju in Burundi. Now, other things that I've noticed is the way that they drive. So here they drive on the other side of the road, kind of like British people do. But this was never a British colony, so it's very peculiar. Because if you're coming from Rwanda, which is right next door, which was also French-Belgian colony, they drive the standard way, like Americans, and on and on and on. They don't drive the British way. But if you go to Kenya and you go to Uganda, which were British colonies, they do drive the British way. So if you're looking at East Africa, going from the east, which is Kenya, and then going to Uganda, they drive British, right? And then they switch the side of the road when they're in Rwanda, and then when you get to Burundi, they switch back to the other side of the road. So that's interesting. So if you're a pedestrian and you're crossing the street, you want to be aware of those changes so you know which way to look for passing cars. And I know it sounds like something that would be obvious, but I swear to you, the first time I think I ran into this opposite driving thing as an American was when I was in Thailand. I believe it was Thailand, maybe it was in Japan. And it was late at night and I had been drinking a little bit. And I walked out like I normally do, and I'm used to traffic coming that way. So I was looking for the cars that way, and a car came the other way, and I didn't even look, and I almost got hit by a car. So if you're gonna have a couple, be aware of that when you're crossing the street. I want y'all to be safe out there. Don't follow this video and be like, yo, the dude didn't even let me know. Messed up, I'm out here with a broken ankle on my vacation or whatever. So, you know, with that being said, I think we're gonna end this one. Appreciate you for watching this far. Go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, share this with your baby mama, share this with your enemy, share it with everybody. You know, the mailman, the milkman, whatever men you got in your neighborhood, share it with all of them. You know what I'm saying? And the females too. Don't get it twisted. They can watch this channel as well. And just like that, we're out of here. And so, one last time, this is J Focus reminding you to stay focused. Yeah.
Such thing as a life that's better than your
Focus, man.